Welcome
And
back.
we're back.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our second segment
conversation
for the morning. This one is all about the Amnesty Extension, IOM Amnesty Extension. And in to talk to us about it, we've got the head of office of IOM Belize, Diana Locke. Good morning.
Okay,
Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
We've been talking about
Yeah.
amnesty this entire year.
Yes.
And for the folks at home, let's just give them a little bit of a refresher
Yeah.
as to what is the amnesty program? Why did we need this?
Why
in
we need
Belize?
this? So what is it about?
Okay, the government of Belize felt, first of all, let's start with Plan Belize. If you go back to Plan Belize, the government did talk about an initiative in Plan Belize to regularize people who were in an irregular status in Belize. So I think this came out of that. The minister approached us in October of last year, saying that they were thinking of doing an amnesty, and if we would be able to support them in any significant way. At that time, we looked at our funds. We didn't know this was coming, and so we said, yes, we have about $80,000. We'll start with that. And so when it was announced and it was implemented, we began mobilizing. And so basically, it is aimed at trying to get all those persons who are living in an irregular status in Belize into the formal stream of having a proper legal status in Belize. And so we, IOM, had started even before the amnesty was announced in 2021 sharing information. So we knew there are lots of people out there who qualified for a status. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't understand the forms. The language was a challenge. So we were sharing information in the beginning. And then we had stopped, and then when the amnesty was announced, we went back full force. So we had some information on some of those people who would have qualified to participate in the amnesty, which makes it more accessible. There are 8 categories, and the most common one that we have seen people applying under is having a Belizean child. Persons who are asylum seekers, and according to the Refugee Department, there's some 2,500 persons that are
Seeking asylum.
listed as with them as seeking asylum. The numbers that we have encountered are very small compared to that number. So that's something we'd have to look at. We don't know where those persons are. I know UNHCR is trying to reach out to them. And so we are looking at people have, as I said, people having Belizean children, people married to Belizeans, people who have been working in Belize for 5 years or more, people who were brought to this country as a child, went to school all of their life here, know no other country, and basically those persons would also qualify under the amnesty. You just need your school report card or your diploma to say you graduated from primary school or high school along with your identity documents. So it's a very broad coverage of persons, and so I think that you really have an opportunity for everybody who's out there in an irregular status to come in and take advantage of this.
How are you organizing
To reach these
people? Because as you rightfully said, it's a wide range of who is eligible to apply for this amnesty, and a lot of folks, and we've had this conversation before, we feel that if I go to any kind of government facility or office and do this, I will get deported, or or my child will be taken away from me, or it's all of these fears that
it's a trust factor.
It's a trust factor. So how do you organize your team to make sure that they're getting the persons properly registered, and how are you reaching out to making sure that there is no fear to this program?
First, for us, what we do is we reach out to communities. Belize City is easy because you have Open Your Eyes, you have all the talk shows, and so the word is out there in Belize City.
Yes.
In the districts and in the villages, we do that through the village chairpersons. We found that to be very effective. In some, especially in the south, they're very connected with their villagers, and so the word gets out there. Just to clarify, the amnesty registration office is completely different from the immigration office. So when you go to an amnesty center, you do not encounter immigration officers. You won't come in contact with them. They're completely different locations. So people, first of all, do not need to be afraid to visit an amnesty registration center because there's no immigration officers there. They don't have access to the records, so you don't need to worry about that. It's a separate process completely. What is happening now is that we are reaching out, as I said, through village chairpersons. Facebook is an effective tool. We have implementing partners, and what we do with them is we share the dates that we're going to different locations. Right now, when we got the news of the Amnesty Extension, we already decided on 6 dates next year. So for the first 2 months of next year, we're only taking off 2 weekends, but we already have those dates with the villages, the districts that we're going to. We're going to narrow it down to villages. Once we decide on that, we're hoping to have a meeting with our UN team because we're trying to do this in partnership this time around with UNICEF and UNHCR. So instead of UNICEF and IOM going in their direction and UNHCR going in another, we're trying to do all of this together so we could probably reach more people with more staff.
So why the need for an extension? I think this is the second extension? Why the need
No,
for
the
that?
first. The first is first and I think last extension. There's a lot of people out there who have not accessed the service. We know that they're
How do you know? How is it detected?
You hear, for example, we're hearing in Belama right here, there's probably about 80 persons that were kind of like on the fence and not sure if they wanted to do it, and when they understood that if they got caught after they would be deported, they want to get the service now. So a lot of that is happening. A lot of the fear that you talked about, people are really and truly afraid of coming out because they feel like immigration is going to find them if they're not accepted. When we meet with people, we give, if they're not qualified, we let you know and we let you know why. And we offer you an alternative. We can take you back home if you want to go. We have a program that is designed to take people back to their country of origin. And we pay all the costs. That's called the AVR program. You might have heard of that. And so for those 344 persons that we have encountered, we share that information with them, and we are again reaching out to them to say, look, if you haven't found another way, you haven't gotten married, things haven't changed that would put you in a qualifying criteria, please remember we're there to take you back home.
So you meet these 300 and
44
people. Do you give them like a duration? Hey,
no,
you need to do this before that.
That's not our role. We just advise them that they don't qualify for the amnesty.
Okay.
Some of them have other options which they could qualify. If they got married to a Belizean under the law, they would qualify. Some of them are in relationships with Belizean children, but they just don't have the time frame for the child. But if the person is a common law, you can, and you don't have the time, we give them advice as to what they can do at immigration. Whether they go, that's another story. But we offer advice as to what are the options. If they got a work permit and they're able to stay, again, you might be short of a month to make your time.
What happens to folks that perhaps lost their documents, the ones that come and they're asylum seekers and, you know what, I am fleeing from a war, I am fleeing from
asylum seekers are fine. Once you're registered with the the refugee department, then you're able to go into their office and get a letter because they have information on you. They know who you are. And so you can go in and you could get a letter, and that letter is all you need to attach to your application for amnesty in order to qualify. For those persons out there who don't have documents, the country that we see a lot of nationals having challenges from is Honduras. Having challenges getting birth certificates, that is an area that we're doing a lot of work on right now. Want to reach out to people who don't have a birth certificate. Please contact the Honduran embassy. We're going to be trying to get a list from them to try to see how we, through our IOM office in Honduras, if they are already registered, if the verification is there and we know they're registered, we will try to see how we can get those birth certificates for them in Honduras through the IOM office and have them shipped to Belize. We're trying to see how we could partner with the OAS to do this because they have a program in the rest of Central America that they can do this. So all of these things we're looking at, but the Honduras is the challenge that we have right now. Guatemala, not a problem. Salvador, never an issue.
So it seems like this is like, I'm going to use this word, it seems like extreme leniency on the part of government, on the part of GOB.
That is correct.
Now we've got all these people that have been, they're now documented. Now, in terms of getting your document, I was skeptical, very skeptical, but I went in, I qualify. What do I have now? Do I just get a receipt and I'm good for now? You get a receipt,
yes.
And then how long after do I get documents, and what document do I receive?
Okay, you get a receipt. Once you submit an application, you get a receipt from the Amnesty Center, and that receipt is your safeguard until amnesty is over. And when I say over, until it's closed, completely, all the files have been processed. Because it will take a while for them to process these files. So you have that receipt, and I recommend strongly to persons who have that receipt, take a picture of it. We all have cell phones.
Pull it in your wallet.
Put a copy in your wallet, like you said, and keep a picture on your cell phone. Show that to the authorities if you're stopped, and you should be fine, because that means your file is in process. At the end of the whole process, as they close the amnesty registration at the end of February, they will begin processing files, and then people will be notified that you could come in. If you're approved, you could come in, you can make your payment, you get a permanent resident card. That's what you will get, a permanent resident card, not citizenship. And so from there, you have all rights to do and live freely in Belize, to work, to do anything except vote. That's it.
Right.
And so with a permanent residence, you can do any
Can I
of those
move
things.
into citizenship?
After 5 years. The law is
That's
very
your-
specific on that. After
Okay.
5 years of having permanent residence, then you can apply for, except for Guatemalans, until that problem is resolved.
Until
Right.
that problem is-
Right. So you have a lot of people who are married to Belizeans, Guatemalans married to Belizeans, who have to go through the amnesty because they don't qualify for citizenship. So it's easier for them to get residency. So we do have a category of people like that.
Okay, all right. So very, very interesting situation here, I've got to say. So we're going into rural villages starting, now take 2 weeks.
They've already
then
begun.
we- and then we-
Taking off the Christmas
Yeah.
break, because the staff has been working 7 days a week for a long time.
Yeah.
And this now goes all across the country, especially
Yes,
rural
we're
villages across the
looking
country?
at 6 locations. I know Belize City is one of them. We're coming back to Belize City. We've heard people are in Belama, so we might pick a weekday to do that here in Belize City, because our office is here in Belize City. We want to do something in Ladyville. We're looking at, the first one we're looking at hopefully is in Cayo. We need to go back to the Cayo district. Exactly where in Cayo, we're not sure. But we do know that in that northeast area, there might still be a number of persons. Again, we are reaching out to village chairpersons and to the area representatives in those areas to see what information they have, and we're going to pull that together. We did a really successful activity at the Spanish Lookout Center, the pavilion that they have.
Yes, yes.
That was perhaps one of the ones that yielded the most persons. So that could very well be a location we would go back to get people in. We've had to provide transportation for people because you don't have a bus that takes you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to get there might be quite a challenge. So we, on occasions, we've had to provide transportation for people, particularly down in the south. If we don't bring those people there, they can't get there. And so we have to provide transportation. We're hoping to, we're doing a little investigation right now to see if we need to go back to the Keys, to San Pedro and Key Cocker. We might do, depending on the numbers, if I get 50 upwards, it justifies the cost of going there because it's very expensive. It's high season,
Yes,
so we're
yes,
looking
yes.
at a one-day trip. And that one-day trip may mean flying because that's the only way I could get the period of time I need.
Yes.
And so we're looking at that as an option. If we get, and every time we go somewhere, I look at the numbers of the persons. We have to reach a certain number of persons because I have to justify the money I'm spending.
Of course.
And so we have a budget. The budget for the next work that we want to do is around 150,000 Belize. I don't have any of it at this point in time, but like all of it, I started with 80 and I ended up spending 250,000.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so it just happened to come along.
But this is a great gesture from our
It
country.
is. I think it also kind of helps us to increase our population statistically. Our numbers are flawed when it comes to population size because of this very issue.
Well, not necessarily flawed. It shows that we have the space to have more people,
We have the
but we
space
need
to
to do it in an organized fashion.
way.
Exactly.
We can't
Right.
just do it we can't just let it happen. It needs to be planned.
Did you have a particular hypothesis of perhaps how many people more or less I would have expected from this amnesty program, and how have the numbers exceeded your expectations?
They haven't exceeded. From the very onset, I indicated to Minister that I felt that we could reach 25,000. And right now, looking at the numbers, the last set of numbers I saw was 10,312 at the end of the first week of December, end of November. And so we hopefully would love to be able to get it to 15,000, which would be higher than the 1999 figure. We would love to get to 15,000 and even exceed that if possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get to 25 because I don't have that amount of money, but there are many other areas, entities outside there that's helping to prepare people.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Belizeans living in Belize City, living all over, that calls me and says, I'm trying to help somebody to get their application in. Can you check it for me once we've put it together?
Yeah.
And we've been supporting and doing that for people that we know that contact us. So it's not only IOM that's doing forms. We have the churches that are doing some of those.
lovely.
We've shared things. So lots of people are out there helping to prepare people. We don't have their data. For IOM, what we are looking to do now, we saw 4,564 persons in that period from March until the end of November. We are going to sit with government. We can't give them the data, and neither can they give us. But we're going to sit down together and look at who from IOM that we have taken care of have already submitted their applications. Those who have not, we're going to look for those people.
Yeah.
That's our job next year, to go look for them and make sure that application gets in.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to do that. And of course, new persons who have not applied as yet, we'll be doing that. We understand there's some 400 people on the farm. So I'm making plans for Friday. I'll be on some farm on Friday.
Yeah.
3 of our team members with our partners from Humana.
From which country are we seeing the highest number
Guatemala.
of people?
From Guatemala, followed by Honduras, and then El Salvador, and then the other numbers just dwindle. We have Chinese, we have Caribbean persons from CARICOM, we have USA applicants. So it's a wide range of persons that are applying, but the majority are from Central America.
Why is this important for Belize and Belizeans?
It's important for Belize because it's not good for us to have a large segment of the population living in an undocumented situation where they can be exploited.
Yeah.
And I must add that if you look at the numbers that we published, the largest category is people who have Belizean children. And so therefore you have a child that's Belizean with a parent that's in an irregular status, and what are you going to do with them? You really want to give that child the opportunity. So sometimes when we tend to think that Belize is overrun by migrants, we need to look, because the migrant family may be 10 persons, but it might be 8 Belizean children and 2 adults that are foreigners, right?
Yeah.
So we have to look behind the stigma that you place on it, and no, they're all migrants. No, there are 8 of them that might be Belizeans and the other 2. So we have to look at that, and the children have a right to be here. The government has been generous in giving the opportunity for people to regularize themselves. I appeal to everybody who's listening, pass the message on, get people to come out. This is your opportunity. This is your last opportunity to register. Don't focus on the fare. A lot of people we have seen, their challenges in applying vital stats. We have to engage with government to figure out how we're going to fix that, because a lot of people want to apply and they can't, because they can't get the late registrations in, particularly in Toledo. That is a very big area that we need to look at with government. We have to do a lot of work with that in the next 2 months, because a lot of people are being disenfranchised because of that. Another area is transportation, getting to the centers, cost, financial cost. Some people don't have the money to even pay the $22 for a police record and a photograph. Again, they will tell you, I don't have the money at the end. I may be a family, and even that, taking $50 out of my money for the week is a lot. So we have been helping with the assistance of UNICEF. We've been helping some people. We've done that. We are hoping we have more funds to do that. Thank you to our donor, the US government, who has actually been very supportive. And I've already reached out through our Western Hemisphere program, asking for more help.
I can't believe you.
It looks favorable. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. My prayers are generally being answered. And so we're hoping that we could get the money to go back out and help people. I want to assure those people, get the application in. Once it's in, you have a chance. If you don't put it in, you don't have a chance. So get that application in. At least if it's in and you don't have the money at the end to pay, you can. I'm sure the government, under the circumstances, will make some arrangement with a specific time period, maybe a year or 2. I don't know. That's their decision to make. that people can save that money to come back and get your applications paid for, your approvals paid for, and you get your card. You could start with the head of household. That person can work freely. Then you go to the mother, and then you do the children afterwards.
It's a
there are ways
situation.
that you can get this thing done to pay for it at the end after you're approved. So don't let that be a factor that disqualifies you.
You do have the sensitive cases, and I'm pretty sure this is definitely out of your control in the IOM and so forth, but you do have those sensitive cases with persons that are trafficked in Belize, and
we found some.
They're not.
And we're helping them.
Okay.
We have a couple of people that we encountered at our hubs, and we're working with the ATIPS Council representative and the Ministry of Human Development to get them their letter.
Yeah.
I have a young lady, I think she's just waiting for that letter so she can submit her application.
Yeah.
But there are a few of those.
And they have come forward.
Yeah.
Yes. When they come, we do an intake, and then when they tell you the story, we would then take them aside. Of course, there's a procedure they have to follow, and it's worked out for those who have come forward.
I could just imagine what those stories would be, having these people and then they're not free.
Well, this particular individual that I met at a hub in Belmopan, she had been trafficked way back in 2016. She managed to get away, and she's been living quietly off on the side, but we were able to provide her with contact persons that she can make her report on her story. We were trying to give her whatever support we can, but she's doing pretty good. And so she met up with an organization that we referred to her, and they're providing her with psycho support. And so she's having that. They're talking about the possibility of giving her some assistance to set up her own business if she wants to at the end of the day. So there's a lot of people out there that can provide support. Right now, the support that's needed is to help these people get ready for the amnesty. And again, like I said, I'm encouraging everybody, don't be afraid.
But these people,
if you're afraid of the others, come to IOM's hub. Yes. Come to our office. We have 4 centers across the country. We have in Belize City the YWCA. So for persons who live here, please feel free to go to the YWCA. They're helping us in preparing people. We have Belmopan. We have the Child Development Foundation, Red Cross in San Ignacio, and in Bella Vista we have Humana.
Okay.
So those are
their hubs everywhere.
And this is a great opportunity for these folks to, because we know that when they get here, they try to strive with their business. They try to put business out there. So this is a great opportunity for you. If you want to be here, enjoy what we've got to offer, and feel free to do so, because we know that you bring, with your kind heart, good stuff to this country. This is your opportunity. I wanted one more thing for eligibility.
Okay.
If undocumented, and if I could remember clearly, you made mention that if somebody has a child, if that child was born last week, am I able to go in for this amnesty time?
Unfortunately, you don't qualify.
What's the duration for qualification
December
for that?
31st, 2021. So any person a child born in Belize before December 31st, 2021, the parents qualify to apply under the amnesty. So if you were born in 2022, unfortunately, you don't qualify.
By January 1st, 2022.
You never made it. But again, there were before, I must say that before the amnesty, there were policies in place at the Immigration Department. I assume that they're still there, where people who had Belizean children between a certain period of time could have gone in and they could have gotten regularized. I'm not sure about the 2021 births or 2022 births actually, but there are other policies that are in place at the Immigration Department, and there are other things under the laws that can help people. So it's not just that everybody, don't think that you're locked out completely. There might be other ways.
So the amnesty program was initially set for August to November 30th.
That's correct.
Now it has been extended up
to the end of February.
To the end of
28th of February.
All right. So now you know you've got enough time to gather your information and try to jump on board with this amnesty program. Diana Locke, the head of office IOM. What IOM stand for?
International Organization for Migration.
Man, I'm glad
we're the baby in the UN family. We just joined in 2016.
Head of office here in Belize. Thank you so very much, Diana Locke. It was great having the conversation with you.
Final words, final thoughts. Please get registered.
Yes, please come out. If you're not sure, you can call us at IOM 223-9500. We can give you advice as to where you can go. Don't miss this opportunity. It's your one and only chance to get registered in the amnesty program, hopefully an opportunity to remain and live in Belize in a legal status. And we are here to try to help you as best as we can. Take advantage of it.
If you know somebody out there that is in need of this assistance as well.
And enforcement, the government has advised us over and over that enforcement will happen after this is over. I don't believe that one of the fair, people feel that if I register and I'm not approved, you have my address. As I said recently, I don't think that the government has the resources and capacity to go through each file to take that out. So I don't think that's an issue. But if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you did not take advantage of the amnesty, then you will be subjected to the laws of Belize.
All right, which means deportation.
Opportunity.
Take advantage indeed. Miss Diana, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
But I've got something else for you.
Uh-huh.
You ever hear about a meal calendar? You didn't look wrong?
I think I saw it coming up next, right?
It's actually coming up next.
We don't get to use calendars,
Oh,
it's your
man, that's
phones.
true.
It's for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's for the aesthetic.
Haven House will be joining us to talk about the meal calendar launch. I'm too sexy for my shit.
John is trying to tell us all that he applied, and so we
surprised when
should
you
get
flip
the
one on your page and buy it
calendars.
up on a calendar. I'm just kidding with you. But that's what we'll be talking about in just a few. So you want to stay with us, mail calendar, Haven House. That's next. Stay with us. We'll be right back.